The spaceship Orion glided silently through the vast expanse of space, its sleek hull reflecting the distant stars. On board, Captain Serena Blake monitored the sensors, her crew bustling with anticipation. They were on a mission to explore a newly discovered star system, rumored to host an advanced alien civilization. The crew of the Orion was a diverse group, with experts in various fields, all driven by a shared thirst for discovery. Captain Blake, a seasoned explorer with a reputation for her sharp instincts and unyielding resolve, was a legend among the interstellar fleet. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Hiro Tanaka, was a tactical genius with a calm demeanor that balanced Blake's fiery spirit. The rest of the crew, including engineers, scientists, and security personnel, worked seamlessly together, each member contributing their expertise to the mission's success. As the Orion approached the outer edges of the star system, the sensors picked up a faint, intermittent signal. It was unlike anything they had encountered before. "Captain, I'm getting a distress signal," said Ensign Layla Alvarez, the ship's communications officer. Her voice was tinged with urgency. Captain Blake's eyes narrowed as she studied the data on her console. "Trace it, Alvarez. Let's find out where it's coming from." The crew worked quickly, triangulating the signal's origin. It led them to a small, damaged escape pod drifting aimlessly in space. The pod's outer shell was scorched and battered, a testament to some violent encounter. Inside, through the frosted viewport, they could see the faint outline of a figure. "Prepare the docking bay," ordered Blake. "Dr. Hayes, get to the med bay. We might have an injured alien on our hands." Dr. Marcus Hayes, the ship's medic, sprang into action. A brilliant doctor with a background in xenobiology, Hayes had always been fascinated by the possibilities of alien life. This was his chance to apply his knowledge in a real-world scenario. As the crew brought the escape pod into the docking bay, Marcus gathered his medical team and prepared for the unknown. The pod's hatch hissed open, revealing the unconscious form of a young alien girl. Her skin was covered in iridescent markings that shimmered faintly in the medbay's lights. She was small and fragile-looking, with delicate features and large, luminescent eyes that remained closed. The air around her crackled with an almost palpable energy. "She's barely alive," Marcus muttered, quickly scanning her vital signs. Her physiology was entirely alien, presenting a challenge even for his extensive training. "Get her to the biobed. We need to stabilize her immediately." As his team worked, Marcus marveled at the complexity of her biology. Her organs were arranged differently. Her blood had an unusual composition, and her cellular structure was both familiar and entirely new. Despite the challenges, Marcus's hands moved with practiced precision, driven by a determination to save her. The alien girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open for a brief moment. They were a deep, shimmering blue, filled with fear and confusion. She tried to speak, but the words came out as a series of melodic tones and clicks. Marcus's heart went out to her. She was clearly terrified and in pain. "It's okay," he said softly, not sure if she could understand him. "We're here to help you. You're safe now." The girl seemed to relax slightly at his tone, her eyes closing again as exhaustion overtook her. Marcus continued his work, doing everything in his power to keep her stable. He didn't know what challenges lay ahead, but one thing was certain. This alien girl needed their help, and he was determined to give it. With the alien girl stabilized, Marcus faced the daunting task of figuring out how to communicate with her. The ship's linguist, Dr. Linnea Chen, was called to the medbay. Dr. Chen was renowned for her expertise in xenolinguistics, having spent years deciphering alien languages and dialects. Her sharp mind and methodical approach made her the perfect person for the job. Dr. Chen arrived at the medbay, her eyes widening as she took in the sight of the alien girl. "This is incredible," she breathed, her curiosity piqued. "I've never seen anything like her before." "She's been trying to speak," Marcus said, stepping aside to give Dr. Chen space. "But I can't make sense of it. Can you help?" Dr. Chen nodded, her expression focused. She activated her portable translator device and began recording the girl's vocalizations. The alien girl, now semi-conscious, looked at Dr. Chen with a mix of apprehension and hope. Slowly, she began to speak again, her voice a blend of musical notes and rhythmic patterns. As Dr. Chen analyzed the recordings, she noticed patterns and repetitions. It was a complex language, but she could discern certain phonetic structures that hinted at a deeper meaning. It's a tonal language, she explained. Her words are based on pitch and rhythm. This will take time, but I'm confident we can establish basic communication. Over the next few days, Dr. Chen worked tirelessly, using every tool at her disposal to decipher the alien language. The crew of the Orion watched in awe as progress was made. They learned that the girl's name was Lyra, and she came from a planet called Illyria, located in a distant star system. Lyra's story was heartbreaking. Illyria had been a peaceful, advanced civilization until it was attacked by a ruthless enemy known as the Zarkans. The Zarkans were a warlike race, bent on conquest and destruction. Lyra's escape pod had been launched in a desperate attempt to save her from the carnage that had befallen her home. As Lyra's health improved, so did her ability to communicate. She formed a special bond with Marcus, who had become her primary caregiver. Despite the language barrier, they developed a mutual understanding and trust. Marcus's compassion and dedication were evident in every interaction, and Lyra responded with gratitude and warmth. One evening, as Marcus was checking on Lyra, she reached out and touched his hand. "Thank you," she said in halting English, her voice filled with emotion. "You saved me." Marcus smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "We're not done yet, Lyra. We're going to help you and your people." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "My people. They need help, the Zarkans. They will not stop." "We'll find a way," Marcus promised. "You're not alone anymore." Captain Blake, having been briefed on Lyra's story, called a meeting with her senior officers. "We have a responsibility to help Lyra and her people," she said firmly. "The Zarkans are a threat not just to Illyria, but to any peaceful civilization they encounter. We need to gather more information and form a plan." The crew agreed, their resolve strengthened by Lyra's courage and resilience. They set a course for the nearest starbase, where they hoped to find allies and resources to aid in their mission. As the Orion sped through space, the crew prepared for the challenges ahead, united by a common goal: to stand against tyranny and protect the innocent. And so, the journey began. The rescue of Lyra was just the beginning, a spark that would ignite a larger conflict and test the limits of their courage and ingenuity. With each passing day, Marcus and the crew of the Orion grew more determined to make a difference, knowing that their actions could shape the future of the galaxy. With Lyra's immediate medical needs addressed, the next challenge was learning to communicate effectively. Dr. Linnea Chen spent hours each day with Lyra, patiently deciphering her language and teaching her basic English. The process was slow and painstaking, but progress was steady. Lyra's language, Illyrian, was complex and nuanced, relying heavily on tones and rhythms to convey meaning. Dr. Chen, fascinated by the linguistic intricacies, found herself deeply engaged in the task. She began to notice that Lyra's language was not just a means of communication, but also a reflection of her people's culture and history. One evening, as the ship's lights dimmed for the artificial night cycle, Dr. Chen sat with Lyra in the medbay. The two had developed a rapport, their sessions often filled with laughter and shared curiosity. Lyra's grasp of English was improving, and she was eager to learn more about the humans who had saved her. "Tell me about your home," Dr. Chen said, using a combination of Illyrian and English. Lyra's eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and nostalgia. "Illyria was beautiful," she began, her voice soft and melodic. "Our cities were built in harmony with nature, and we valued knowledge and peace above all else. But then the Zarkans came. They destroyed everything we held dear." Dr. Chen nodded, her heart aching for Lyra. "We're going to help you, Lyra. We won't let the Zarkans get away with this." Lyra's expression hardened with determination. "Thank you. My people, they need hope, and I believe you can give it to them." As days turned into weeks, the crew of the Orion learned more about the Zarkans from Lyra. They were a ruthless and technologically advanced race, known for their brutal conquests and desire for domination. The crew realized that the Zarkans posed a significant threat not only to Illyria, but to the entire galaxy. Captain Blake, always a strategic thinker, began formulating a plan to gather more intelligence on the Zarkans. She knew that to defeat such a formidable enemy, they needed allies and resources. The Orion set course for the Velis homeworld, hoping to forge an alliance with the reclusive but powerful Velis. The journey to the Velis homeworld was fraught with tension. The Orion's crew was on high alert, aware that the Zarkans could strike at any moment. As they approached Velis space, the sensors picked up an ominous signal, an approaching vessel, larger and more heavily armed than the Orion. "It's a Zarkan warship," Ensign Alvarez reported, her voice tight with anxiety. "They're closing in fast." Captain Blake's eyes narrowed as she assessed the situation. "Prepare for battle. All hands to stations." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their movements a choreographed dance of preparation. The Orion's weapon systems came online, and the ship's shields were raised to full power. The Zarkan warship loomed ever closer, its menacing silhouette a stark reminder of the danger they faced. The first salvo from the Zarkans rocked the Orion, shaking the ship violently. "Return fire," Blake ordered. "Let's show them what we're made of." The ensuing battle was fierce and chaotic. The Orion's crew fought with everything they had, but the Zarkans were relentless. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as the two ships exchanged fire. Despite their best efforts, the Orion was outmatched, and the situation grew increasingly dire. In the midst of the chaos, Lyra's eyes glowed with a strange, ethereal light. She closed her eyes, concentrating intensely. Suddenly, a shimmering energy field enveloped the Orion, deflecting the Zarkan attacks. "What's happening?" Lieutenant Tanaka shouted over the din. "It's Lyra!" Marcus exclaimed, his eyes wide with amazement. "She's using her abilities to protect us." The energy field held, giving the Orion a much-needed respite. Captain Blake seized the opportunity to outmaneuver the Zarkan warship. "Helm, bring us about. Target their engines and fire." With Lyra's energy shield deflecting the worst of the Zarkan assault, the Orion's weapons found their mark. The enemy ship shuddered as its engines were hit, and it began to drift, its power flickering. "Direct hit," Tanaka reported, a rare smile breaking through his usually stoic demeanor. "Their engines are offline." "Prepare for boarding," Blake ordered. "We need to disable their command center and gather any intelligence we can." A boarding party, led by Lieutenant Tanaka, and consisting of Marcus, Lyra, and a team of security officers, suited up and prepared to infiltrate the Zarkan warship. As they crossed the void between the two ships, Lyra's energy shield continued to protect them, her determination fueling her abilities. Inside the Zarkan ship, they encountered fierce resistance. The Zarkan soldiers were formidable, but the boarding party fought with relentless determination. Marcus and Lyra moved through the chaos with a sense of purpose, their bond growing stronger with each step. Reaching the command center, they faced the Zarkan commander, a towering figure clad in ominous armor. The battle was intense, but Lyra's abilities proved to be the turning point. She unleashed a wave of energy that incapacitated the commander, allowing Tanaka to secure the ship's systems. "Download all their data," Tanaka ordered. "We need to know everything we can about the Zarkans and their plans." As the team worked quickly, Lyra's energy shield began to waver. "I can't hold it much longer," she gasped, her strength waning. Marcus placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've done more than enough, Lyra. Let's get back to the Orion." With the data secured, the boarding party retreated to the Orion. The Zarkan warship, now crippled and leaderless, posed no further threat. As the crew of the Orion analyzed the intelligence they had gathered, they realized the full extent of the Zarkan menace. Captain Blake convened a meeting with her senior officers. "The Zarkans are planning a massive assault on multiple star systems," she said, her voice grim. "We need to warn our allies and prepare for the fight of our lives." Lyra, despite her exhaustion, stood tall. "We will fight them together, for Illyria and for every world they threaten." The crew of the Orion, united by a common purpose, prepared for the battles ahead. They knew that the road would be long and perilous, but with Lyra's courage and Marcus's unwavering dedication, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With the intelligence gathered from the Zarkan warship, the Orion set course for the Vilas homeworld. The Vilas were known for their advanced technology and strategic acumen, but they were also notoriously reclusive and cautious in their alliances. Captain Blake, Dr. Chen, Marcus, and Lyra formed a delegation to present their case to the Vilas. The journey to the Vilas homeworld was tense, each crew member keenly aware of the stakes. As they approached the planet, the crew marveled at the sight of the Vilas capital city, an awe-inspiring blend of nature and technology, with towering spires and lush greenery intertwined. The Orion's landing was met with a delegation of Vilas diplomats and security personnel. Their leader, High Counselor Kalen, greeted them with a formal nod. "Welcome, travelers. We have reviewed your request for an audience. Follow us." In the Grand Council chamber, the delegation made their case. Captain Blake spoke of the Zarkan threat and the need for a united front. Dr. Chen presented the data they had gathered, highlighting the Zarkan's destructive capabilities and intentions. Lyra shared her personal story, her voice trembling with emotion as she described the horrors inflicted upon Illyria. The Vilas Council listened intently, their expressions revealing little. High Counselor Kalen finally spoke. "Your plea is compelling. However, the Vilas have always been cautious in choosing our allies. We must deliberate." As the council adjourned, the Orion's delegation was escorted to a waiting area. Hours passed, the tension palpable. Finally, a Vilas aide entered the room. "The council has reached a decision. Follow me." Back in the council chamber, High Counselor Kalen addressed them. "The Vilas will join your cause. We recognize the threat the Zarkans pose to all civilizations. Together, we will stand against them." Relief washed over the delegation. An alliance with the Vilas meant access to advanced technology, strategic resources, and formidable military support. Plans were quickly set in motion to coordinate efforts and prepare for the impending conflict. Armed with the support of the Vilas, the Orion's crew focused on their next objective: retrieving the ancient weapon from Illyria. Lyra had described it as a device of unimaginable power, hidden deep within the ruins of her homeworld. The journey to Illyria was fraught with danger, as the planet lay within Zarkan-controlled space. The Orion approached Illyria cautiously, evading Zarkan patrols and scanning for signs of life. The planet's surface was a haunting sight, with charred landscapes and crumbling structures. The crew landed near the coordinates Lyra had provided, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Lyra led Marcus, Captain Blake, and a team of explorers through the desolate terrain. They navigated the ruins of Illyria's capital city, once a beacon of culture and progress, now a silent testament to the Zarkan's brutality. The journey was emotionally taxing for Lyra, but her determination never wavered. Deep within the city's central complex, they found a hidden chamber, sealed and protected by ancient security measures. Lyra, using her knowledge and abilities, deactivated the defenses and opened the chamber. Inside, they discovered the weapon, a crystalline structure pulsating with energy, surrounded by intricate machinery. Dr. Chen and the ship's engineer, Lieutenant Kira Mason, examined the device. "This is unlike anything we've ever seen," Kira said, her voice filled with awe. "It's a fusion of technology and some form of energy manipulation. It could turn the tide of the war." As they prepared to transport the weapon to the Orion, a Zarkan patrol detected their presence. An intense firefight ensued, with the crew defending the chamber, while Kira and Dr. Chen secured the weapon. Lyra's abilities once again proved invaluable, creating shields and disorienting their attackers. The crew managed to repel the Zarkan patrol and safely transport the weapon back to the Orion. As they departed Illyria, the planet's desolation serving as a stark reminder of their mission's urgency, they knew that the ancient weapon could be the key to defeating the Zarkans. With the ancient weapon on board, the Orion and their Vilas allies prepared for a decisive confrontation with the Zarkans. Intelligence reports indicated that the Zarkan fleet was amassing near a strategically vital planet, aiming to launch a massive assault on multiple star systems. The Allied fleet, now bolstered by Vilas warships, set a course to intercept them. The anticipation was palpable as the Allied fleet approached the Zarkan armada. The sheer size of the enemy fleet was intimidating, but the determination of the Orion's crew and their allies was unshakable. Captain Blake stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the view screen. "All hands, prepare for battle. This is it. We fight for our future." The opening salvos from both sides lit up the void, a dazzling display of firepower and strategy. The Orion maneuvered with precision, its advanced weaponry and shields tested to their limits. Veilous ships with their sleek designs and powerful energy weapons engaged the Zarkan warships in coordinated strikes. In the midst of the battle, Marcus and Lyra worked in the engineering bay, activating the ancient weapon. The device began to hum with energy, its crystalline structure glowing brighter with each passing moment. "It's ready," Kira announced, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Captain Blake gave the order. "Fire the weapon." A beam of pure energy shot forth from the Orion, striking the heart of the Zarkan fleet. The effect was immediate and devastating. Zarkan ships were disabled, their systems overloaded by the weapon's power. The Allied fleet pressed the advantage, exploiting the chaos to target key enemy vessels. However, the Zarkans were not easily defeated. Their flagship, a massive dreadnought, retaliated with overwhelming force. The Orion was hit hard, its shields buckling under the assault. "We're taking heavy damage," Lieutenant Tanaka reported, his hands flying over the controls. Marcus, Lyra, and Kira worked frantically to stabilize the ship's systems. "We can't take much more of this," Marcus muttered, his face set in grim determination. Lyra, her energy nearly depleted, looked at Marcus with resolve. "We can do this," she said, her voice unwavering. Drawing on the last of her strength, Lyra focused her abilities on the ancient weapon, amplifying its power. Another beam shot forth, this time striking the Zarkan flagship. The dreadnought shuddered, its weapons going silent as it began to break apart. Cheers erupted on the Orion's bridge as the Zarkan fleet, leaderless and in disarray, retreated. The battle was won, but at great cost. The Orion limped through space, its hull battered and its crew exhausted but victorious. In the aftermath, as repairs were underway and the wounded tended to, Marcus and Lyra stood together in the medbay. "We did it," Marcus said, his voice filled with both relief and pride. Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting both sorrow and hope. "Illyria is gone, but maybe now my people can find peace. Thank you, Marcus, for everything." The Orion's victory had dealt a significant blow to the Zarkans, but the war was far from over. The crew knew that they would face many more challenges, but with allies like the Veilus and the strength they had gained from their experiences, they were ready to continue the fight for a better future. Victory over the Zarkan fleet brought a brief respite to the Allied forces. The crew of the Orion, along with their Veilus allies, took this time to regroup and plan their next moves. But peace was fleeting, and the shadow of betrayal loomed over their efforts. As the Orion docked at a Veilus space station for much-needed repairs, Captain Blake called a council of war. Representatives from various allied species gathered to discuss their strategy for the final push against the Zarkans. Among them was Councillor Tavik, a high-ranking Veilus official who had shown considerable support for the alliance. Unbeknownst to the allies, Tavik harbored a secret allegiance to the Zarkans. He saw the war as an opportunity to consolidate power within the Veilus hierarchy, using the conflict to further his own ambitions. During a private meeting, Tavik sabotaged the ancient weapon, ensuring it would fail at a critical moment. As the Council of War commenced, Tavik's treachery began to unfold. The weapon, once a symbol of hope, malfunctioned catastrophically, sending out an energy pulse that disabled the Orion and several other Allied ships. Chaos erupted as emergency systems failed and confusion spread through the ranks. Lyra, sensing something was amiss, used her abilities to trace the source of the sabotage. She and Marcus confronted Tavik, who revealed his true intentions with a smug confidence. "The Zarkans will reward those who serve them well," he sneered. "Your alliance is doomed." A fierce struggle ensued. Despite Tavik's attempts to overpower them, Lyra's energy manipulation and Marcus's combat training proved decisive. They managed to subdue Tavik and secure the control room. restoring power to the disabled ships. With Tavik's betrayal exposed, Captain Blake addressed the Allied forces. "This act of treachery will not break us. We stand united, and we will prevail. The Zarkans will learn that their divide-and-conquer tactics have no place here." The Allies, galvanized by Blake's resolve, renewed their commitment to the cause. Repairs to the ancient weapon began immediately, with Lyra and Kira working tirelessly to fix the damage. Marcus and Lyra's bond, strengthened by their shared ordeal, became a symbol of resilience and loyalty within the Alliance. The betrayal by Tavik, though damaging, served to solidify the Allies' determination to defeat the Zarkans. With the ancient weapon repaired and the traitor imprisoned, the Orion and its allies prepared for a crucial strike against the heart of the Zarkan war effort. Intelligence gathered from the disabled Zarkan ships revealed a vital target, the main Zarkan command center, located on a heavily fortified planet. The Allies devised a daring plan to infiltrate the planet and disable the command center, striking a decisive blow to the Zarkan leadership. Captain Blake led a joint task force comprising elite units from various Allied species. Marcus, Lyra, and Lieutenant Tanaka were among those selected for the mission. The team trained intensively, each member honing their skills and preparing for the high-stakes operation. The infiltration began under the cover of a massive space battle, designed to draw Zarkan forces away from the planet. The task force used stealth shuttles to penetrate the planet's defenses, landing near the command center. The landscape was harsh and unforgiving, a fitting backdrop for the looming confrontation. As the task force advanced, they encountered fierce resistance. Zarkan soldiers, trained and ruthless, defended their territory with ferocity. The Allies fought back with equal determination, their unity and cooperation giving them the edge. Inside the command center, the final confrontation unfolded. Marcus and Lyra, working in tandem, navigated the labyrinthine corridors, disabling security systems and neutralizing threats. Their journey culminated in a showdown with the Zarkan commander, a towering figure radiating menace. The battle was intense. The Zarkan commander, wielding advanced weaponry and augmented by cybernetic enhancements, proved a formidable opponent. Marcus and Lyra fought with everything they had, their bond and mutual trust pushing them to their limits. In a climactic moment, Lyra used her energy manipulation abilities to disrupt the commander's systems, creating an opening for Marcus. With a swift, decisive strike, Marcus incapacitated the commander, securing the control room. As the Allied forces stormed the command center, they disabled the Zarkan leadership's communication network, plunging the enemy into disarray. The Allies seized control of the planet, dealing a crippling blow to the Zarkan war effort. With the Zarkan command center destroyed and their leadership in disarray, the tide of war had turned. The Allied forces, buoyed by their victory, pressed their advantage, liberating star systems and reclaiming territory from Zarkan control. The once dominant Zarkan Empire began to crumble under the relentless assault. Back on the Orion, the atmosphere was one of cautious optimism. Repairs were completed, and the ship was ready for the next phase of the campaign. Captain Blake, ever the strategic thinker, convened her senior officers to plan their final push against the Zarkan remnants. Marcus and Lyra, now inseparable, worked closely with the rest of the crew. Their bond had grown into something profound, a partnership forged in the crucible of war. They were more than comrades. They were symbols of the Alliance's strength and unity. As the Orion led the charge into the heart of Zarkan territory, the crew encountered pockets of fierce resistance. The Zarkans, though weakened, were not defeated, and each battle tested the Allies' resolve. But with each victory, hope grew, and the dream of lasting peace became more tangible. In the midst of this campaign, a moment of profound significance arrived: the liberation of Illyria. The Allied fleet converged on the planet, driving out the remaining Zarkan forces and beginning the process of restoration. Lyra, standing on the bridge of the Orion, watched with tears in her eyes as her homeworld was freed. "This is just the beginning," Captain Blake said, placing a reassuring hand on Lyra's shoulder. "We'll help you rebuild. Illyria will rise again." The Council of Unity, formed from representatives of the allied species, convened to discuss the future. The victory over the Zarkans had created an opportunity for lasting peace and cooperation. The Council's formation marked a new era, with former enemies working together to prevent future conflicts and ensure mutual prosperity. Marcus and Lyra, honored for their contributions, were appointed as ambassadors of peace, tasked with fostering understanding and collaboration among the diverse species of the galaxy. Their journey, once defined by war and survival, now focused on healing and building a better future. As the Orion and its allies celebrated their hard-won victory, they remained vigilant, knowing that the price of peace was eternal vigilance. But with the bonds they had forged and the lessons they had learned, they were ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. And so, under the light of distant stars, a new dawn rose over the galaxy, heralding an era of hope, unity, and boundless possibilities. With the Zarkan threat significantly diminished, the focus of the Allied forces shifted from war to rebuilding and establishing lasting peace. The Council of Unity, formed from representatives of the Allied species, convened for its first official session on the Veilus homeworld. The council chamber was a grand structure, a symbol of hope and cooperation, its architecture a blend of the diverse cultures it represented. Captain Blake, Marcus, Lyra, and other key figures from the Orion were present, their efforts having earned them seats among the council. The atmosphere was a mix of solemnity and optimism as the representatives gathered to chart a new course for the galaxy. High Counselor Kalen, who had been instrumental in bringing the Veilus into the Alliance, opened the session. "We stand at a pivotal moment in our history. The Zarkan menace has shown us the devastation that unchecked aggression can bring, but it has also demonstrated the strength and resilience of unity. Today we forge a path toward a future where cooperation and mutual respect guide our actions." Lyra, standing beside Marcus, felt a sense of pride and responsibility. She had come a long way from the frightened girl rescued from a drifting escape pod. Now, she was a voice for her people and a symbol of the Alliance's potential. Discussions were intense and wide-ranging. Representatives debated how to handle the remnants of the Zarkan Empire, the rebuilding of war-torn planets, and the establishment of trade and communication networks. Marcus, with his deep understanding of both human and Illyrian cultures, contributed valuable insights on humanitarian aid and medical assistance. Lyra spoke passionately about the need for educational and cultural exchanges. "We must learn from each other, share our knowledge and traditions. It is through understanding that we will prevent future conflicts and build a galaxy where all species can thrive." As the days of deliberation continued, the Council began to draft the Charter of Unity, a document outlining the principles and goals of the new alliance. It emphasized equality, mutual defense, and the peaceful resolution of disputes. The charter also included provisions for joint scientific and technological research, aiming to harness the combined knowledge of the allied species for the betterment of all. The Council's work culminated in a grand signing ceremony. Representatives from each species stepped forward to sign the charter, their signatures symbolizing a commitment to the collective future. When it was Lyra's turn, she hesitated for a moment, overwhelmed by the significance of the moment. Marcus gave her a reassuring nod, and she stepped forward, signing her name with a flourish. The chamber erupted in applause, a new era of unity officially begun. But even as the celebrations commenced, a sense of vigilance remained. The Allied forces knew that peace was fragile, and that they must be prepared to defend it. Just as the newly formed Council of Unity began to settle into its role, a series of disturbing reports reached the Allied leadership. Unusual energy signatures and unexplained disappearances in remote sectors hinted at a new threat. The Council decided to investigate, fearing that another powerful force was emerging from the shadows. Captain Blake, Marcus, Lyra, and a contingent of elite operatives from the Alliance were dispatched to the affected sectors. The Orion, now a symbol of hope and resilience, led the mission. The journey took them to the farthest reaches of known space, where they encountered anomalies and signs of a hidden enemy. As they delved deeper, they uncovered evidence of a mysterious force more powerful and insidious than the Zarkans. Advanced technology, strange biological signatures, and reports of entire colonies vanishing without a trace pointed to an enemy that operated with stealth and precision. The crew's investigations led them to an abandoned research facility on a remote planet. Inside, they discovered records of experiments and technologies far beyond anything they had seen before. The facility's data logs revealed that the Zarkans had been mere pawns, manipulated by this hidden force for their own purposes. Marcus and Lyra, working side by side, pieced together the puzzle. The enemy was known as the Ethon, an ancient and technologically superior race that had remained hidden for millennia. The Ethon sought to control the galaxy through subtle manipulation, using proxy wars and advanced technology to achieve their goals. As the team gathered crucial intelligence, they were ambushed by Ethon operatives. The Ethons, sleek and almost ethereal in appearance, wielded advanced weaponry and displayed formidable combat skills. The ensuing battle was fierce, with the Orion's crew fighting desperately to secure the data they had uncovered. In the chaos, Marcus and Lyra found themselves separated from the main group, pursued by Ethon soldiers. They navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the facility, using their knowledge and instincts to outmaneuver their pursuers. Despite the danger, their bond and trust in each other never wavered. Reaching a secure location, Marcus transmitted the critical data back to the Orion, ensuring that the Council would learn of the Ethon threat. But their respite was short-lived as the Ethon forces closed in. In a final, desperate stand, Lyra used her abilities to create a powerful energy barrier, buying them time to escape. The Orion, alerted to their plight, launched a daring rescue mission. Captain Blake and a team of elite soldiers stormed the facility, engaging the Ethons and extracting Marcus and Lyra. The facility was destroyed, but the cost was high, and the crew knew that the Ethons were far from defeated. Back aboard the Orion, the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on everyone. The Ethon threat was unlike anything they had faced before, and the stakes were higher than ever. Captain Blake addressed the crew, her voice resolute. "We've faced impossible odds before, and we've emerged stronger. The Ethons think they can control our fate, but we will show them the power of unity and resilience. This is our galaxy, and we will defend it." With the intelligence they had gathered, the Council of Unity began to prepare for the looming conflict. The allied species, now more united than ever, understood that their greatest challenge lay ahead. But with leaders like Captain Blake, Marcus, and Lyra at the forefront, they were ready to face the hidden threat and protect the future they had fought so hard to build. The discovery of the Ethon threat galvanized the Council of Unity into swift action. The Allied forces, now more determined than ever, began to fortify their defenses and prepare for an inevitable confrontation. The Ethons, with their advanced technology and cunning strategies, posed a formidable challenge, but the Allies were resolute in their determination to protect their newly forged peace. The Orion, now fully repaired and upgraded with the latest Veilus technology, led the vanguard of the Allied fleet. Captain Blake, Marcus, Lyra, and the rest of the crew knew that the coming battle would be unlike any they had faced before. Their mission? To locate and neutralize the Ethon Command Center, a hidden stronghold that served as the nerve center for their operations. Intelligence reports indicated that the Ethon Command Center was located in a remote sector of space, shrouded by powerful energy fields and cloaking technology. The Allied fleet, comprising ships from multiple species, set course for the sector, ready to confront the Ethons head-on. As they approached the target, the energy fields surrounding the Ethon stronghold became visible. Pulsating with a strange, otherworldly glow, the fields were a testament to the Ethon's technological prowess. The Allied ships formed a defensive perimeter, their weapons and shields at maximum power. Captain Blake addressed the fleet over the communication network. "This is it. The Ethons believe they can control our fate, but they underestimate the power of unity and resolve. We fight not just for ourselves, but for every sentient being in this galaxy. Let's show them what we're made of." The battle began with a coordinated assault on the energy fields. Velis scientists, having studied the ethon technology, devised a plan to disrupt the fields using a combination of energy pulses and EMP blasts. The Allied ships executed the plan with precision, and the energy fields began to falter. As the fields weakened, the ethon fleet emerged, sleek and deadly, their ships bristling with advanced weaponry. The ensuing clash was a spectacular display of firepower and strategy. The Allies, united by their common goal, fought with unparalleled determination. The Orion, at the forefront of the battle, faced off against the ethon flagship. Captain Blake and her crew maneuvered with skill and precision, dodging enemy fire and delivering punishing blows in return. The ancient weapon, now fully integrated into the Orion systems, unleashed devastating energy beams that tore through the ethon ships. Meanwhile, Marcus, Lyra, and a team of elite operatives prepared for a daring boarding mission. Their objective was to infiltrate the ethon command center and disable their control systems. Using a stealth shuttle, they breached the ethon defenses and boarded the enemy flagship. Inside the ethon ship, the operatives encountered fierce resistance. The ethons, with their advanced weaponry and combat enhancements, fought with ruthless efficiency. But the Allies, driven by their resolve and unity, pressed on. Marcus and Lyra, working in perfect sync, led the charge, their combined abilities proving a formidable force. Reaching the command center, they faced the ethon leader, a being of imposing presence and intellect. The confrontation was intense, with the ethon leader using both technology and psychic abilities to try and overpower the intruders. But Marcus and Lyra, their bond unbreakable, fought back with everything they had. In a climactic moment, Lyra used her energy manipulation abilities to disrupt the ethon leader's control systems, creating an opening for Marcus. With a decisive strike, Marcus disabled the leader's combat enhancements, bringing the battle to a close. The command center was secured, and the ethon fleet, now leaderless and in disarray, began to retreat. Back on the Orion, Captain Blake watched as the remaining ethon ships fled. The battle was won, but the cost had been high. The Allied fleet, though victorious, had suffered significant losses. The sacrifice and bravery of countless individuals had secured a future free from ethon control. As the Allies regrouped and tended to the wounded, the Council of Unity convened to discuss the next steps. The threat of the ethons had been a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance and cooperation. The Council resolved to strengthen their alliance, focusing on mutual defense, technological advancement, and cultural exchange. Lyra, now a celebrated hero, stood with Marcus as they addressed the Council. "We have faced darkness and emerged stronger. The ethons thought they could divide us, but they only made us more united. Let this be a new beginning, where we build a future based on trust, respect, and shared purpose." The Council members, inspired by their words, pledged to uphold the principles of the Charter of Unity. The Allied forces began the arduous task of rebuilding, with a renewed commitment to ensuring that the horrors of the past would never be repeated. As the Orion and its crew set out on their next mission, they carried with them the legacy of their victory. The bonds forged in the crucible of war had created a foundation for a brighter future. And though challenges lay ahead, the spirit of unity and resilience that had brought them this far would continue to guide them. Under the light of distant stars, the galaxy embarked on a new chapter, one filled with hope, unity, and boundless possibilities. And the Orion, a beacon of courage and determination, led the way, ever ready to face the unknown and protect the peace they had fought so hard to achieve.